Hey, what's up, guys and gals? Welcome to episode 179 of the Alamodome Audible Podcast. As your host, Jared Kalmus, joined as always by my co-host, Adrian Bermudez. Adrian, how are you doing on this lovely Houston weather day we've got going on? Is it a beautiful outside?
Yeah, absolutely. What is good? I'm doing well. Monday afternoon, getting the week off right, and the weather is fantastic. It's a very short window of this that we have in Houston. So
Seriously.
need to really appreciate it. Spend some time in the yard.
Yeah, we had dinner on the patio a couple of days ago, and I was
Love
like,
that.
we have maybe 10 days a year where this is enjoyable because even outside of the weather, then you get the mosquitoes for half the year. So
Yep.
glad we could take advantage of that.
Yep. It is nice. It is something. That's good, man. That's excellent. A little patio dinner. I love that. Maybe I'll do a little bit of grilling throughout the week here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now's the time.
Yeah.
Well, today on the podcast, we were joined by a very special guest, Mr. Karl Miller-Lugo, who is the VP of Development and Alumni Relations for UTSA. And Karl was a joy to talk to. Had an absolutely great time talking with him.
Incredible.
Super smart guy, really passionate, loves UTSA, loves San Antonio. Hit us with some stats.
Oh, deep stats. Yeah. Quantified some data for Jared. Quantified Jared's point. I mean, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Really, it's picture perfect.
Speaking my language, 110%.
Yeah. And Karl, man, he's quite the seasoned vet here in the philanthropic fundraising world, right? 27, well, I guess 30 years now in his time at UTSA, if you include that. But I mean, his career spans Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma State, UC San Diego, UT Austin, where he was for 10 years, where he got turned on to UTSA. We heard a little bit about his story there. And get this, the guy's a Western Kentucky Hilltopper alumnus. Yes. The Hilltoppers that we dethroned for the CUSA championship. So, I mean, the guy's really UTSA through and through at this point. And we really appreciate him sitting down and talking with us, man. It was really cool getting insight into that world.
Yeah, and then of course we cap off the interview with a little talk about UTSA Giving Day. So last year was the first university-wide fundraising day that UTSA had ever had, and it's oh gosh, how many years old is UTSA now? 51?
69 to 50, 52.
52?
Yeah, 52 or 53. Yeah,
past 2 years of everyone's life has just all been a blur. But yeah, it was kind of surprising. That was the first time UTSA had ever had a campus-wide fundraising initiative like that. And I participated in it. I gave to a couple of causes last year. I'll certainly be doing the same again this year. So definitely be sure to hang on to the end and check out that conversation about UTSA Giving Day and find out how you can get involved and support a lot of great causes, not just for the university itself, but also for the students and athletics and all that good stuff. So really, really cool initiative UTSA is going on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of fundraising.
Oh, baby.
I'm telling you, man, my segues are I'm killing it. As always, we want to give a big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters for supporting the podcast and enabling us to do a lot of awesome stuff like host this interview. We're also working on some really big things behind the scenes. I know you guys are sick of hearing us say that, but it's worth it. It's worth it. The day that we can stop being cryptic and mysterious about it is quickly approaching. But those Patreon supporters include our big money donors, Ben Tobar, Rick Cortez of Rowdy Road Grillers, Zach Espedicueta, the San Antonio Podcast Network, our Board of Trustees members, Digiteek, John Otwell, Lino Perez of Los Dos Rowdy Tailgating, and Gary and Ruben representing the UTSA Bird Gang Tailgate, and all of our other supporters as well. The retention throughout the offseason for football has been awesome. So thank you guys for sticking with us and enjoying the content. As it's come out, covering all sports outside of football and basketball as well. And on that note, we're also hosting the summit this week. That's Wednesday night, correct?
Yes, that's this Wednesday for all Patreon donors at the booster level and up. You've got an open invite to happy hour in the summit with us where some really, really cool stuff is going to happen. We're excited to have a couple of cocktails with you guys. So please mark your calendars. We know it's a slow season, but that doesn't mean we've got a red hot happy hour ready to rock and roll for you this week. It's hump day. Let's do it.
Yeah, and of course we'll record just the general conversation and the Q&A and just the friendly happy hour banter to all of our Patreon supporters. But there's actually a section that we will not be recording. And if you want to figure out why Adrian and I have been kind of cryptic on a lot of podcasts over the past couple of months, if you attend the summit live, you'll start to get an understanding of why that is. And it's all good news. It's all great stuff. I don't want to scare anybody, but if you're able to attend live, you'll get to see a cool little sneak peek of the future of Element of Audible.
Whoa.
Oh, hey.
Baby.
All right. Well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and kick it over to our interview with Karl Miller-Lugo. Thanks again to Karl for coming on the podcast. It was absolutely great having you on. We hope you guys enjoy this interview and join us for the summit this week on Patreon if you're able to. Okay, guys, like I said, we're joined today by Mr. Karl Miller-Lugo. He is the VP of Development and Alumni Relations at UTSA. Karl, we are so thrilled to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for agreeing to join us today, and excited to get to talk to you and get to know you a little better.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. It's a real honor to be with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you hopping on big time, Karl. So once upon a time, I guess it was maybe 3 years ago, maybe at this point, UTSA played Oregon State and Toyota Center. And I got to meet Karl. We had a really, really cool conversation. I think the Alumni Association had the Papacitos catered across the street. So we got to share a couple of fajitas and a couple of margaritas and chat it up. And it was really, really good conversation. So I remember a lot of it. I'm excited to be able to share it with the audience.
Thanks, awesome, man. No, I remember it well too. So it's great to be with you again.
If I had a vote, every UTSA event would have premium fajitas and margaritas. So I'm thrilled to hear.
Yeah, shout out to the UTSA Houston Alumni Association. Yeah, they did a good job.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was at one of their most recent event up in the Heights. What was that? I think 2 weeks ago. It was a great turnout. It was so good to just be around UTSA folks out in public again, kind of as we transition out of the pandemic. Met a lot of great people. So yeah, the Houston chapter does an amazing job.
Mm-hmm. They do. And I have to say, so I have to give them another shout out from this past weekend. We did the Diploma Dash, and the Houston folks did their own little regional Diploma Dash out there. And I guess I saw some photos today of some of the participants. So thank you to those that participated from afar.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh man, Adrian, we're gonna have to get in shape. We're gonna have to run it next year.
I've never done the Diploma Dash. I have people ask me like, "Do you do the diploma?" I'm like, "I'm not a Diploma Dasher. No, I'm sorry." Yeah, but maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to just commit to it.
Oh gosh, yeah, we'll consider it. Well, Karl, for those that don't know you, would you mind sharing a little bit about your role at UTSA? Kind of what your responsibilities are, what all you oversee, and all of that good stuff.
Listen, happy to. Thank you. So. Yeah, I celebrated 2 years formally on December 1 of this past year. So I joined formally December 1 of 2019, but nice. I was here for about 9 months prior to that in a consulting role, working with Dr. Amy and with the Development and Alumni Relations team. So I really got to know the place and listen, I fell in love with it. So when this position came open, I immediately put my name in the hat and just count my lucky stars that I'm here. So in development and alumni relations, we oversee, well, number one, just what the name says, all of our development function, which is what a lot of folks would say, is fundraising. So all of the colleges have at least one fundraiser in them, and we oversee those folks. Athletics fundraising reports both to Dr. Lisa Campos as the athletic director, but also to our office. We oversee the metrics and the accountability for the team. And then there's a lot of advancement operations, as we call it. So all the folks in the background that take care of entering all the information and keeping our donor profiles up to date and all that good stuff. And then the corporate foundation engagement office is part of our team. donor relations, which are the folks that say thank you after you've made a gift and make sure that you're having a good giving experience.
Well, what an incredible 2 years to be here. I mean, I'd imagine the fundraising landscape has drastically, exponentially, changed and increased, right? I mean, how has it been seeing it from that side, from behind the curtain, right? Sort of all of this big expansion, athletics expansion that we're seeing as fans and as students. What is it like on the other side?
Well, listen, I knew this place had great potential. It's another reason why I was so interested, in coming. You could just tell, you could tell when I was here doing some consulting work, when I was visiting, first of all, internally, meeting with Dr. Amy, Dr. Campos, all of our VPs and deans, you could see that it was a rocket ship just getting ready to take off. And I thought, man, I want a seat on that. And it's been just that. I mean, it's just been nonstop, unbelievable momentum, incredible success just across the university. I mean, obviously, you guys, focus on the athletics piece and you've seen all of that and experienced it. But then you look at on the academic side as well, we just got R1, which we've been talking about at this university for, almost 2 decades. And we still have other things that are coming. Just wait and see. But we're going to undergo an audit to see if we qualify for what's called the National Research University Fund, which would unleash another about $8 million a year to our research enterprise. That's going to happen this spring, and we feel very good about our chances. So, I mean, it's just been an incredible ride. And then you've seen, some of the gifts that we received, named 2 colleges where there had been no named colleges on this campus before. We now have the Klesse College of Engineering and Integrated Design, and then we have the Alvarez College of Business, both incredible gifts. And then, the Scott, Mackenzie Scott gift that the university received at $40 million. And it's just, so we're raising more money than ever too, which is an incredible story. And we're going to be sharing more about that in the fall. So be waiting for that as well. So awesome. Just more good news, man. It's incredible.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the Mackenzie Scott gift. I imagine with the named colleges, you guys have kind of been working on that for a while, had a relationship established with those donors. Did the Mackenzie Scott thing just kind of fall from the sky? Because I know that she has given to all kinds of organizations all across the world. So was it just like you woke up to a $40 million check in your inbox one morning? Or how did that play out?
I'd say both yes and no. So if you'll remember, so she had done already some gifts prior to the tranche that we were in. She had done some gifts in San Antonio. And as a matter of fact, I can remember when some of those gifts were announced, and Dr. Amy actually called me and said, hey, how do we get on that list? And I said, look, I don't think that's one that you can necessarily call and get on. I think she has to decide that you're on it, and wow. And so we just kind of, celebrated those here in San Antonio that got gifts and kind of went on. And then we got I actually got an email sometime in February of that next year that said, we have an anonymous donor that has an interest in learning more about the university. They've seen some things that they really like. Could we arrange a phone call? And so I immediately called Dr. Amy and Provost Espy, and we arranged the phone call, and the 3 of us met with this group. There was a gentleman out of California and another one out of New York. And anyway, long story short, the call went very well. They said, okay, this is the first step. We'll let you know if the donor wants to talk to you some more.
Wow.
And it was probably 3 months later. So we waited for a long time, but about 3 months later, we got the second phone call that said, the donor has decided that, yes, you are going to get a gift, and we'll arrange a phone call soon to tell you the amount. And at that point, we will identify who the donor is. So in that third phone call, we found out that it was going to be 40 million and that it was Mackenzie Scott. And that phone call was with Dr. Amy. And man, I was sitting outside the door when he came out, man, and it was a really incredible moment. High fives going all around.
I mean, you've been at some prestigious institutions, Oklahoma State, Alabama, Clemson. Was this one of the most high profile type of contributions that y'all have got or that you've experienced with, I should say, personally?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And to be fair, so some of those institutions you named, I was a consultant there, but I worked at UT Austin, and then I worked at two institutions back in Kentucky, my alma mater, Western Kentucky University, and then Lindsey Wilson College, a small private college. But no, certainly this was number one, the largest gift that I'd ever been engaged with. But just the way that it happens and who it is and the kind of profile, I mean, there's been nothing like it in my career.
Wow, that is incredible. That is incredible. So in your day-to-day operations, I mean, are you really sort of kind of meeting with these donors face to face? Are you doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes? Are you doing both? What's sort of that look like for you on a daily?
Yeah, in my position, I work closely with Dr. Amy and our other cabinet members, the other VPs and the deans on probably our most engaged and longest supporting, donors and prospects. And so there'd be a lot of the names that you all know that have been supporting this university for a long time. And but then, in working with the rest of the campus officers, we're always engaging in new conversations with individuals, with corporations, with foundations. And I think that's been the other exciting part of this. And I know we're going to talk a little while about Giving Day, but the number of donors that we have brought on board in just the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years to this university, it's in the hundreds of thousands, and the number of new donors that are coming to the fore is really exciting because, in our business, we're always talking about pipeline. It's one thing to have the donors of today, but, who's going to be those supporters for tomorrow? And I think with all the excitement and all the momentum that the university is experiencing, people want to be a part of that. You want to be a part of a winner, right? And that's the way I think people see the university. It's a good stock to hold that's going to continue rising in prestige and in its just the remarkable ways that it's helping, and advancing things across the world. And so it's really exciting to see that growth.
I'm sure you have this conversation on a daily basis. We talk about it on the podcast often, but when you look at the profile of the university here at UTSA, most of the alumni are extremely young relative to most universities. So I always tell people that obviously people's earning power increases as they get older, more advanced in their careers.
That's right.
The capability, I think, from the fundraising side at UTSA is astronomical. As that average age of alumni increases and people have the extra disposable income, and of course, it sounds a little weird to talk about, but of course, when people pass away and they leave money to their alma mater in their will, UTSA hasn't been able to tap into that a whole lot, like you see at a place like Alabama, where the average age of the alumnus is probably 20 years older than UTSA. Right. So that's something that has always been kind of fascinating me about UTSA because it's so unique. There are a lot of young universities in America, but very few of them, I think, are like R1 institutions and Division I athletic institutions like UTSA is. So it's a really unique opportunity. I'm sure it provides fun challenges for you and your role.
Yeah, Jared, I'll give you actually a couple stats on that point. You make a really good one about both current and then, that future pipeline. So even though there are those remarkable gifts like the one from Mackenzie Scott, the still most of the large, what you would consider significant gifts, $1 million plus, even get into the $100,000 plus. Most of those gifts are still made by folks that are 65 or older.
Mm-hmm.
That's just historically, that's the way it is. That's traditionally, and the statistics still show that. So to your point, we've been around for 50 years. So even if you take our very first graduating classes, if you looked at them just as traditional age students, which again, not all were, but those folks would just now be turning 70 some odd. So to your point, there wouldn't be that many because those early graduating classes were also much smaller. Now, let me give you a second stat to also add to your point. Almost 70% of our alumni have graduated from this university in the last 20 years.
It's insane.
Wow.
So, isn't that wild? But that just shows that's the potential. So that's the growth that we've had, which is incredible. Now we're graduating, thousands of students every year, and we have to have 2 different graduations, and over 2 or 3 different days to graduate everybody because of the growth. But to your point, can you imagine in another, 50 years, which is, again, then you start getting into the ages of some of the universities that you're talking about, that have been around for 100, 150, almost, 200 years. It does make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Talking my language with the stats. I love it. We'll have to give your football breakdown of stats come this fall.
And that's a really nice way to quantify it too. I mean, that's eye-opening.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great upside here.
So after, I guess, spending 2 years, give or take, in San Antonio now, what would you say you enjoy the most about the university, but also the city of San Antonio as well, just from, your own personal living experience here in San Antonio?
Yeah. Man, look, I was like most people. I used to come to San Antonio as a tourist and loved everything about it. But when you're here and you really get to see the diversity of San Antonio, and I don't mean just, ethnic and racial diversity, but just the, different parts of town are different, and you can experience so many, different things depending on where you are, northwest, east, south, and I've really grown to appreciate that about it. And it's just got such a great vibe. And I think that right now, Dr. Amy says this a lot, and I really like it, but he'll say UTSA is a university of the future in San Antonio, which is a city of the future. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. I think that is right. I think San Antonio is the next hot city. I think people are really taking notice. Austin's been on the cool list for a long time, but hey, man, the traffic's getting terrible. The cost of living is high.
Right.
San Antonio still has so much that going for it. And then you've got, like I say, that diversity in the city itself, the cultural, aspects of San Antonio that are unique anywhere in Texas. And it's just a fun place to be. And again, it's a rocket ship waiting to take off, I think, too. So I love being here.
You speak with such sincerity when you talk about San Antonio and UTSA. Kind of really illustrates your passion, your energy for the university. What was it like watching UTSA on 2 occasions this year snatch the heart of your alumnus, the Hilltoppers? Are you conflicted there?
Hey, man, listen, I was there at the game at Western, and I was certainly there at the game here. And look, I'm a Hilltopper for life, but now I'm a Roadrunner for life. And by the way, I am a life member of the UTSA Alumni Association.
All right.
You can be a life member or a member of the Alumni Association and not be technically an alumnus of the institution.
We'll take it.
But hey, I had my Roadrunner blue and orange on, and I was rooting for our Roadrunners. And it was a very unique, experience. But I had a lot of fun with it.
Hey, if you were wearing your Red Socks underneath, that's fine. We won't tell anyone. We won't hold it against you. It's a split house. You get it.
So was it through your time at UT Austin that you got turned on to UTSA and you kind of had your eyes on it?
Actually, yes. So, I got to know, or I got to hear things about UTSA. That's how I met my predecessor, Margie French. She and I have been colleagues for, 10 years plus. And that's how I became a consultant here, because she actually, sought me out to do some work here. And, so I'm indebted to her in a lot of ways, as I think back to that. But yeah, I would go to meetings and meet folks that worked here at the university. I actually came down here a couple of times for some meetings and, got to see the campus and just thought, man, this place is really cool. But then, you go on about your work and you don't really think about it. And then, you come back and it rekindles that spirit that I always had when I was here, around this place. And, so it's become really special.
So we did mention, kind of the huge success of the football program last season, of course. I kind of wanted to get your take on a topic that I see a lot of debate on, I think on both sides of the fence, both athletics and academic and everywhere in between. But there's always such debate. And you see it a lot around March Madness right now, which is kind of timely for us heading into Elite Eight is about to start. In your opinion, how much of an impact does runaway athletic success, especially in revenue sports like football and basketball, impact the, return on investment, if you will, from the academic side of the house, from a fundraising perspective, and maybe in other areas of the health of the university? I mean,
great question.
Yeah. We often talk about, the emotional side of fundraising, folks, it's a lot about how you're feeling. So for example, I was talking in a meeting today, I said, in Texas right now, oil and gas is really high. So you got that as a positive, but then you have inflation. And, inflation just makes people feel a little poorer, if that makes any sense. They may not technically be any poorer, although, we are spending a lot at the gas pump these days, but just the feeling itself. And so I say that to also say that when, your university has got a lot of wonderful things going on, and a lot of times that's, athletics is a front door to that, when that's going well, there's just this extra feeling of pride. There's this extra feeling of positivity about your university. And you just cannot understate that. It is, it's important that people feel proud and feel positive and feel good about their university when it comes to us then asking them to support us in different ways. And so there's no doubt that we saw that, I was mentioning earlier the number of new donors. A lot of those new donors, I'm not talking about, tens of $1,000 gifts or even $1,000 gifts. These are folks that decide, okay, I'm going to send them $50. I'm going to send them $100. I'm going to send them $25. Those are the folks that we saw all of a sudden, giving again or giving for the first time. And it was directly, we could look at the timeline and you could correlate it to our football success. And the things that were going on, around athletics. And, and I've seen it. Look, I saw it happen at Western Kentucky when I was there. I certainly saw it when I was a consultant at places like Alabama and Clemson. And, winning is good for the fundraising area, no doubt about it.
So as we start to wrap things up here, I wanted to talk a little about UTSA Giving Day. So last year was the inaugural UTSA Giving Day. I thought it was awesome, had a lot of fun with it. Can you tell us a little bit about Giving Day and then also give us a little bit of preview? I think we're about 3 weeks away from the second UTSA Giving Day. So for someone who didn't participate in the last year, can you kind of give us a high level overview of what it's all about and what it looks to accomplish?
You bet. So we are actually 21 days and 17 hours and 44 minutes, but counting away from the next Giving Day, April 19th and 20th. Last year, like you said, was the first time that we'd done a university-wide Giving Day in that way. We've done some crowdfunding campaigns in different areas. We had never done a university-wide effort. And I got to give full credit to our alumni team and also our annual giving team, who really were the leads in putting all of it together. They laid all the infrastructure. They did all the training of different folks across campus for us to do it. Because look, a day like this really is a university-wide effort. It takes folks from every area on campus to help us put it out there. And it was a huge success in every way you look at it. We were hoping to have 1,969 donors, and we really just picked that because obviously, our founding, but also because that's the number of minutes that Giving Day runs. It runs for 1,969 minutes, comes out to somewhere around 32 hours and 44 minutes, something like that. We really didn't put a dollar goal to it last year because we didn't know, we'd never done one. So we really didn't have any history. We just thought if we can get the donors, if we can get the number of donors up pretty high, then the money will come. And we ended up raising over $344,000 in one, in a day and a half. So just incredible numbers. We had 702 new donors. Number of gifts was somewhere over, 2,400 gifts. And so it was just an incredible day. So, we learned a lot. And this year we're wanting to, surpass that success. What we're hoping for, again, we're not really putting a dollar goal to it. What we'd like to do is, since we hit over 2,000 donors last year, we had 2,217. This year we're striving for 3,000 donors. And we think if we hit 3,000, then, the dollar goal will be, higher and we'll do great across campus. Yeah. It is, again, a university-wide effort. So we've got every academic unit, we've got every student organization you can think of. We've got obviously all of athletics, each department, each athletic team, and so individually and then as a whole. And so you'll just be, seeing a lot of activity from all over campus. On that day, the university communications team is nice enough to basically give us the airwaves. So we own the website, we own social media, nice. For a couple of days here. And that was the other piece last year that I think was so fun for us, was just, for a day and a half, it was nothing but UTSA positivity. I mean, it was just these wonderful messages, people, wanting to support their areas, getting their friends and family and, to support, just sending all this UTSA love and positivity out on every social media channel. That was a lot of fun to be a part of and to watch, and to think that we were kind of the inspiration behind all that. And so we're really excited to do it again this year. And we hope that, all of you out there will join us.
Yeah. And I know for Giving Day, you can select to give to certain groups or causes. I think last year there was like a food pantry on campus was one of them. Are there any like cool or special causes you'd like to shout out going into this year's Giving Day?
Yeah. So, again, we'll have all of this different student organizations. So yes, the Roadrunner Pantry, SOSA did an incredible job last year. I think they won I know they won one of our giving challenges. We're going to have those again to make, have some competition and things going. But we've got things like the First Generation and Transfer Student Support Center. We're going to be doing some well-being initiatives this year. Mental health has been in the news a lot, and how the pandemic has, impacted us in that area. So we're going to be doing some fundraising around that, that we know will, have a big impact on the university. Things like the West Side Scholarship Fund. We have a student tech fund. This is one that I think our fans out there will enjoy, the Larry Coker First UTSA Football Head Coach Endowment.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be one of the things that we're going to be, marketing out there. So again, there's just nothing that, or there's something in there for everybody. I think if people, when they go to the page, it's givingday.utsa.edu. That's givingday.utsa.edu. It's already live. We're still populating, so not all of the different projects are on there yet, but they will be soon. And you'll see when you go on there that there's just so many things to choose from that everybody can find something to get behind. And the other thing that I would make a plea for is we're always looking for ambassadors. You can sign up to be ambassador by going to that site. If you're an ambassador, there's some swag that comes along with it. We'll send you some UTSA swag. And all we ask is that on the days of the Giving Day, that you just help us by promoting it on your social media and just getting news out there for people.
Awesome.
Nice. Very nice. I'm curious to know, UTSA is a Hispanic serving institution, and your extensive list of all the different colleges and universities you've served, how much more Spanish do you use working here at UTSA on your day-to-day? I think a lot of our audience might be surprised to know you're actually a native of Puerto Rico, and Spanish is what you have your degree in.
Sí, soy boricua de verdad. And man, it's a pleasure to be surrounded by, my Latino brothers and sisters, and I probably use Spanish here now more than ever. My mom's really happy about that.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah, she can tell that my Spanish is getting better and better, and I'm getting to practice it more. But no, really, it is. It's a point of pride. UT Austin did hit Hispanic serving while I was there, but here it's for real, and and I'm real proud of that, and just proud to be a part of supporting that.
And has your lingo and dialect shifted a little bit from like the more Puerto Rican style to a more Mexican style, Tex-Mex style?
I do get called out on my Boricua-isms a little bit, but that's all right.
That's too funny.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
All right, Karl, thanks so much for your time. It was really great getting to know you. I hope all of our listeners will participate in Giving Day this year. I know a lot of folks did last year, especially on the Larry Coker Fund. So again, go check out that website, sign up to be an ambassador. And Karl, you're welcome back on the podcast anytime. It's an absolute pleasure.
Indeed.
Man, thank you guys. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the interview with Karl. Thanks again to Karl for coming on and sharing so much information with us. It was great to get to know him better and learn more about UTSA Giving Day, which has quickly become one of my favorite, or is becoming, guys, I should say, this only happened once, is quickly becoming one of my favorite traditions here at UTSA. If you are new to the podcast, please be sure to check us out on social media. We're at Alamo Audible on Twitter and Alamo Audible everywhere else on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. You can find our podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all the typical podcast feeds. So be sure to subscribe to us there. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of our content, including all of our exclusive donor-only content, please check out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Alamodome Audible. And there you can find all of our bonus podcasts, all of our videos that we do, all kinds of great stuff over there on Patreon. And of course, you help support us, help us grow, create more content, and bring on guest writers, all of that great stuff. So hope you guys will check it out. And we'll see you guys next time. I think our next podcast is going to be recapping the UTSA spring game for football. So that should be pretty informative and a lot of fun. And hopefully you can meet some of you guys out there at the game. So if you see us out there, don't be afraid to say hi. We'll see you guys next time.